It was supposed to be a night of celebration, a milestone in our lives that marked 5 years of marriage. My wife, Emily, and I had put countless hours into planning our anniversary party, wanting it to be a memorable event for both us and our friends. We rented a stylish venue downtown, a place with twinkling lights and an expansive dance floor. The atmosphere was electric, filled with laughter and the clinking of glasses, and I felt a swell of pride as I looked around at the people who had come to celebrate with us. As I stood there, I couldn't help but reflect on how far we'd come. 5 years ago, we had exchanged vows in a small chapel, surrounded by family and friends. It had been a perfect day, and our love had blossomed since then. We had our ups and downs like any couple, but we always managed to find our way back to each other. I thought we were solid, that we had built a strong foundation of trust and companionship. The night began with toasts. Friends took turns sharing anecdotes about our relationship, each story laced with humor and affection. I could see Emily, glowing under the warm lights, her laughter ringing out like music. As I raised my glass to toast her, I felt a surge of love. She was everything I had ever wanted, and I was determined to make this night unforgettable. The DJ was a friend of a friend, a local talent known for his ability to read the crowd and keep the energy high. He played hits from our early dating years, songs that reminded us of countless late-night drives and stolen kisses. I remember pulling Emily close, dancing with her in a way that felt timeless. It was a moment of pure bliss, and I felt grateful for the life we had built together. But as the night progressed, I noticed something strange. Emily seemed to be spending more time near the DJ booth than I had anticipated. At first, I brushed it off as her just enjoying the music. She had always had a connection to the rhythm, often losing herself in the beat. But as I watched her lean in closer to the DJ, sharing laughter and glances that felt a bit too intimate, a knot began to form in my stomach. I tried to shake off the feeling of unease. After all, it was our anniversary, and I didn't want to ruin the night by letting jealousy creep in. I mingled with our guests, making small talk and sharing drinks, but my mind kept drifting back to Emily and the DJ. Something about their chemistry felt off, and I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to their interaction than met the eye. As the clock ticked closer to midnight, I decided to approach her, hopping to pull her away for a moment to enjoy some time alone. I made my way through the crowd, my heart racing with anticipation. I was ready to pull her into a warm embrace to remind her of the love we shared. But as I reached the DJ booth, I froze. There they were, Emily and the DJ, their bodies swaying together in a way that felt all too familiar. It was as if they were in their own world, oblivious to the party around them. I stood there paralyzed, the laughter and music fading into a dull roar. My heart raced as I caught sight of her, my wife, entwined with the DJ, their bodies moving to the rhythm of a song that felt like a cruel mockery of our vows. In that moment, everything shattered. The joy of the evening evaporated, replaced by a cold wave of disbelief and betrayal. I knew I had to act, but I felt frozen in place, grappling with the reality of what I was witnessing. As the chaos of emotions swirled inside me, I took a deep breath, preparing myself for what was to come. I had to confront this, to understand what was happening right in front of me. My heart pounded in my chest, and I felt a mix of anger and sadness wash over me. I was not just a husband watching his wife dance with another man. I was a man whose entire world was about to unravel. I stood there, rooted to the spot, as the laughter and music seemed to blur into a cacophony of sound. The sight of Emily, my wife, lost in the moment with the DJ, felt surreal. I blinked, hoping that when I opened my eyes again, this would all be a bad dream. But the reality was unmistakable. She was entwined with him in a way that felt intimate, far too intimate for my comfort. The DJ, with his slick-back hair and confident demeanor, leaned in closer to Emily, whispering something that made her laugh, a sound that had always ignited warmth in my heart but now cut like a knife. I could see the way she looked at him, her eyes sparkling under the soft glow of the lights. It was a look I had thought was reserved for me, and the realization that it was being shared with someone else felt like a betrayal that left me breathless. I took a step back, my mind racing. I felt the weight of disbelief pressing down on me. How could this be happening? Had I been blind to the signs? I thought we were happy, that we had built something meaningful together. The anger began to rise within me, a fire igniting in my chest that I struggled to contain. I wanted to scream, to confront them both right then and there, but a part of me hesitated. I needed to know the truth, to understand what was going on before I made a scene. I turned away from the DJ booth and walked toward the bar, my hands trembling as I gripped the edge of the counter. I ordered a drink, my throat dry and my heart racing. I could feel the heat of betrayal coursing through my veins, and I fought to keep my composure. I glanced back over my shoulder, and there they were again, laughing and whispering, the DJ leaning in closer, his hand brushing against her waist. A wave of nausea hit me. I had to confront her, to demand an explanation. I finished my drink in one swift gulp, the alcohol burning down my throat, and took a deep breath. My mind was spinning, bombarded by a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions, love, anger, confusion. I couldn't let this go on any longer. With renewed determination, I made my way back to the DJ booth. As I approached, I felt my heart pounding in my ears. I wasn't sure what I would say, how I would confront her, but I knew I had to do it. I had to know. "Emily," I called out, my voice cutting through the music. She turned to me, her expression shifting from joy to surprise and then to something else, something I couldn't quite place. The DJ stepped back, his smile fading as he took in the tension that had suddenly filled the air. "Hey, babe," Emily said, her voice a mix of excitement and confusion. "I was just having fun dancing." "Fun?" I echoed, my voice sharper than I intended. "Is that what you call this?" I gestured toward the DJ, my anger bubbling to the surface. "Because it looks like more than just fun to me." Her eyes widened, and for a moment I thought I saw a flicker of guilt cross her face. "It's not what it looks like," she said quickly, her tone defensive. "We were just dancing." "Dancing?" I repeated, incredulous. "You're practically wrapped around him." The atmosphere shifted, the laughter of our friends fading into the background as they began to notice the confrontation unfolding. I felt exposed, as if the world had turned its gaze upon us. The anger coursing through me was both exhilarating and terrifying, and I struggled to maintain my composure. "Let's talk about this later," Emily said, her voice low, but there was a tremor in her words. "Not here." "No," I shot back, my heart racing. "We're talking about it now. You need to explain yourself." The DJ shifted uncomfortably, glancing between us as if he were about to make a break for it. I could see the uncertainty in his eyes, and it fueled my anger further. Who did he think he was, stepping into my world and taking my wife away from me? "Emily," I said, my voice steadying as I looked directly into her eyes. "Is this what you've been doing behind my back? Is this what our marriage means to you?" Her expression faltered, and for a moment I thought she might break down. But then she squared her shoulders, defiance creeping into her posture. "You're overreacting. It was just a dance." But I wasn't overreacting. I felt the ground beneath me shift, the foundation of our relationship cracking. "Just a dance," I echoed, my voice rising. "You're lying to me, and you know it." The tension in the air was palpable, and I could feel the eyes of our friends on us, their whispers starting to swirl. I was no longer just a husband confronting his wife. I was a man standing on the precipice of betrayal, and I didn't know how to pull myself back from the edge. Suddenly, the DJ cleared his throat, stepping forward. "Look, man, it was just a bit of fun. No harm done, right?" At that moment, something inside me snapped. I could feel the anger boiling over, and I turned to him, my fists clenched. "You think this is fun? You think you can just waltz in and take my wife away from me?" The chaos of the party faded into the background as I focused on the two people who had shattered my world. I felt a surge of adrenaline course through me, and I knew that this was just the beginning of a confrontation that would change everything. The air crackled with tension as I faced Emily and the DJ, the music now a distant hum overshadowed by the storm brewing inside me. I could feel the heat rising in my cheeks, a mix of anger and betrayal that threatened to consume me. The guests had stopped their chatter, their eyes glued to our confrontation. I could sense the whispers, the judgment, a spotlight shining down on my unraveling marriage. "Just a dance," I repeated, my voice steady but laced with disbelief. "You're not even going to deny it. You're not going to admit that this is more than just fun." Emily opened her mouth to respond, but I cut her off. "You think I'm overreacting. You think I'm just some jealous husband. No, Emily, this is about trust. This is about our vows, the promises we made to each other, and you're making a mockery of it." "Calm down, man," the DJ interjected, his bravado faltering under the weight of my glare. "This isn't what it seems. We were just having a good time." "Just having a good time," I spat, my anger boiling over. "You're the one who's crossing boundaries here. You don't get to come into my life and take what's mine." Emily stepped forward, her expression shifting from defensive to pleading. "Please, let's not do this here. It's our anniversary, and I didn't mean for it to get out of hand. You have to believe me." "Believe you?" I shot back, incredulous. "How can I believe you when you're standing here, having the time of your life with another man? You're making excuses instead of taking responsibility." For a moment, silence enveloped us, the weight of my words hanging in the air. Emily's eyes shimmered with unshed tears, and I could see the conflict warring within her. I wanted to reach out to her, to pull her close and remind her of the love we had shared, but the betrayal was too fresh, too raw. "Do you love him?" I asked, my voice dropping to a whisper. The question hung between us, heavy and charged. Her breath hitched, and I felt a knot tighten in my stomach. "No, it's not like that," she replied, her voice trembling. "I love you, I swear." "Then why were you dancing with him like that?" I pressed, desperate for an answer that would make sense of this nightmare. "Why didn't you come to me? Why didn't you tell me you needed something more?" "I didn't mean for it to go this far," she admitted, her voice breaking. "I just got caught up in the moment. I never wanted to hurt you." "Caught up in the moment," I echoed, incredulous. "You think that's an excuse? You think that makes this okay?" The DJ shifted uncomfortably, and I could see the realization dawning on him that he was in over his head. "Look, man, it was just a dance. I didn't know she was married." "Stop talking," I snapped, turning my attention back to Emily. "You're the one I'm addressing. You're the one who needs to explain yourself." The tears began to spill down her cheeks, and for a moment I felt a flicker of sympathy. I wanted to comfort her, to tell her that everything would be okay, but the betrayal was a wall between us that felt insurmountable. "Please, just give me a chance to explain," she pleaded, her voice shaking. "I never intended for this to happen. I love you, and I don't want to lose you over a stupid mistake." "A mistake?" I repeated, incredulous. "This isn't just a mistake, Emily. This is a choice. You chose to dance with him, to let him into your personal space while I was right there, celebrating our anniversary." The crowd around us had grown silent, the tension palpable as they watched our confrontation unfold. I could see the pity in their eyes, the judgment. I felt exposed, vulnerable, and utterly betrayed. "I just thought," she started, but the words faltered on her lips as she searched for an explanation that would justify her actions. "What did you think?" I pressed, my anger simmering just beneath the surface. "That I wouldn't care, that it wouldn't matter, you think I wouldn't notice." "I thought it was harmless," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "I thought I could have a little fun without it meaning anything." "Fun?" I echoed, my voice rising again. "This isn't fun, this is betrayal. This is you choosing to step outside our marriage to seek validation from someone else. And for what? A few moments of excitement." The DJ looked between us, clearly uncomfortable. "I didn't mean to cause any trouble," he said, his tone defensive. "I thought you guys had an open relationship or something." "Don't you dare speak for me." I shot back, my anger directed at him. "You don't know anything about our relationship. You're just a man who took advantage of my wife." "Stop it," Emily cried, her voice breaking. "This isn't helping. We need to talk about this like adults." "Talk about what?" I snapped. "How you betrayed me, how you let another man into our lives when I thought we were happy. I don't even know who you are right now." The truth was, I felt lost. The woman I thought I knew, the woman I had loved for years, was standing in front of me, and yet she felt like a stranger. The reality of her infidelity was crashing down around us, and I didn't know how to process it. "I need to think," I said finally, my voice low. I turned to leave, needing space to breathe, to collect my thoughts. But as I walked away, I could feel the weight of their gazes on my back, the judgment lingering in the air. I stepped outside the venue, the cool night air hitting my face like a slap. I leaned against the wall, trying to steady my racing heart. I needed to figure out what to do next. I couldn't let this go unaddressed, not when my entire world felt like it was crumbling around me. Standing outside the venue, I struggled. Catch my breath. The cool night air felt sharp against my skin, contrasting with the heat of the anger still surging through me. I was a man torn apart, caught in a whirlwind of emotions, betrayal, confusion, and an overwhelming urge for revenge. As I leaned against the wall, I replayed the confrontation in my mind. Emily's tears, her desperation for forgiveness, and the way the DJ had stood there, smug and unrepentant. I could feel the fire of betrayal burning within me, urging me to take action. I couldn't let this slide. I needed to do something, something that would not only expose the DJ but also make Emily understand the gravity of her actions. I took a deep breath, forcing my mind to focus. I needed a plan, a way to confront the situation head-on. Revenge wasn't just about inflicting pain. It was about making a statement, about reclaiming my power in a situation where I felt utterly powerless. I thought about the DJ, the way he had laughed and danced with my wife, and it ignited a rage within me. He had crossed a line, and I wasn't going to let him get away with it. I needed to expose him, to show everyone what kind of man he truly was. It wouldn't just be for me. It would be for Emily too. She needed to see the consequences of her choices. I pulled out my phone and began to brainstorm. My mind raced as I considered the options. The DJ was a local celebrity of sorts, known for his gigs at various events around town. He had a reputation, a following, and I knew that if I played my cards right, I could ruin that reputation in one fell swoop. I began to think about the party guests, the people who had witnessed the betrayal. They could be my allies. If I could gather evidence, if I could create a narrative that exposed the truth, I could turn the tide. I needed to act fast. The longer I waited, the more time Emily would have to convince me that it was all just a mistake. I remembered the photos that were taken during the party. Our friends had been snapping pictures all night, capturing moments of joy and laughter. I could reach out to them, ask for any photos that included Emily and the DJ. It would be proof of their connection, evidence that could not be denied. As I formulated my plan, I felt a sense of clarity wash over me. This wasn't just about revenge. It was about reclaiming my dignity. I had been made a fool, and I needed to ensure that I would never feel that way again. I would show Emily the consequences of her actions, and in doing so, I would reclaim the power that had been stripped from me. With renewed determination, I returned inside the venue, my heart pounding as I made my way toward the bar. I spotted a few friends gathered, drinks in hand, clearly discussing the commotion that had taken place. I approached them, my mind racing with what I wanted to say. "Hey, can I talk to you guys for a second?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. They turned to me, their expressions a mix of concern and curiosity. "Is everything okay?" one of them asked, eyeing me closely. I took a deep breath, knowing that what I was about to say would change the tone of the night. "I need your help. I need to expose the DJ for what he really is." "What do you mean?" another friend asked, clearly confused. "I caught Emily dancing with him," I said, my voice low but firm. "It was more than just a dance. I need to show everyone what he did tonight. I need to make sure he never plays another gig again." The group fell silent, processing my words. I could see the shock on their faces, and I knew that I had their attention. "I need any photos or videos from tonight," I continued. "Anything that shows them together. We can't let this slide." "I can help," one friend said, pulling out their phone. "I took a few pictures, I'll send them to you." "Me too," another chimed in. "I caught a moment that didn't look good." As they began to share their photos, I felt a surge of satisfaction. This was it. This was my chance to turn the situation around, to make a statement that would resonate with everyone involved. I could see the pieces falling into place, and it fueled my determination. After gathering the evidence, I stepped away from the group, my heart racing with adrenaline. I needed to devise a way to reveal everything at the right moment. I wanted to expose the DJ in front of everyone, to make sure that Emily understood the gravity of her actions and that the DJ faced the consequences of his betrayal. I glanced around the venue, taking in the sights and sounds of the party. The laughter, the music, it all felt like a distant memory now. I was no longer a husband celebrating an anniversary. I was a man on a mission. a mission for revenge, for justice, and for reclaiming my dignity. I decided to wait for the right moment to catch the DJ off guard. I wanted to ensure that when I revealed everything, it would have the maximum impact. I needed to plan it carefully to make sure that my words would resonate with everyone present. The longer I waited, the more my anticipation grew. I could feel the tension building inside me, a mixture of anger and determination. I had to be strategic about this. I didn't want to act out of pure rage. I wanted to make sure that my actions would resonate, that the message would be clear. As I stood there, I could see Emily mingling with our friends, her laughter echoing through the venue. The sight of her, carefree and oblivious to the storm brewing beneath the surface, fueled my resolve. I would show her the consequences of her choices. I would make sure she understood the depth of her betrayal. The DJ was still spinning tracks, blissfully unaware of the chaos that was about to unfold. I could feel the energy in the room shifting, and I knew that the moment was approaching. I just had to bide my time, to wait for the perfect opportunity to strike. The atmosphere of the party pulsated with energy, the laughter and music creating a facade of joy that felt increasingly hollow to me. I could see Emily moving through the crowd, her smile bright, but I knew the truth beneath it all. The betrayal was a weight on my chest, and I was ready to lift it in a way that would leave no ambiguity about the consequences of her actions. As I scanned the room, I spotted the DJ, still oblivious to the storm brewing around him. He was chatting with a group of guests, his confidence radiating as he laughed and joked. I could feel the anger bubbling within me again, a raw, unfiltered rage that demanded to be unleashed. I took a deep breath, grounding myself in the moment. I had gathered the evidence, and now it was time to act. I needed to expose him in front of everyone, to show them the truth about the man who had crossed a line that should never have been crossed. But more than that, I needed Emily to see the repercussions of her choices, to understand the depth of her betrayal. With my heart racing, I made my way through the crowd, my determination propelling me forward. I could see my friends watching me, their expressions a mixture of concern and curiosity. They knew something was coming, and I could feel their support as I approached the center of the dance floor where the DJ was still spinning tracks. "Hey everyone!" I called out, my voice cutting through the music and laughter. The crowd began to quiet down, heads turning in my direction. I could feel the weight of their gazes on me, and I steeled myself for what was to come. The DJ looked up, a smile fading from his face as he recognized me. "What's up, man?" he asked, trying to maintain his cool demeanor. I ignored him, focusing instead on the crowd. "I need to talk to all of you about something important," I said, my voice steady and loud enough to draw attention. "Something that happened tonight that you all deserve to know about." Whispers rippled through the crowd, and I could see Emily's expression shift from confusion to alarm. She started to make her way toward me, but I raised my hand to stop her. "No, Emily, let me speak." The murmur of the crowd grew louder as they sensed the tension. I pulled out my phone, heart pounding as I opened the images I had collected. "Tonight I caught my wife, Emily, dancing with this man," I said, gesturing toward the DJ who was now shifting uncomfortably. "It wasn't just a dance. It was a betrayal." Gasps echoed around the room, and I could see the shock on my friends' faces. I have photos that show them together, laughing and enjoying each other's company while I was right there, celebrating our anniversary. I held up my phone, displaying the images for everyone to see. The DJ's face paled as he realized the gravity of the situation. "Come on, man, this isn't necessary," he stammered, trying to diffuse the tension. "It was just a dance." "Just a dance," I echoed, my voice rising again. "You think that's all this was? You stepped into my life and took advantage of my trust. You think you can just waltz in and take what's mine without consequences." I turned back to the crowd, my voice steady. "I want everyone here to understand what this man did tonight. He disrespected my marriage and he disrespected me, and I won't stand for it." The murmurs grew louder, and I could see my friends exchanging shocked glances. Emily stood frozen, her expression a mix of horror and disbelief. I could feel the weight of her gaze on me, and I knew this was the moment I had been waiting for. "I'm not here to just shame him," I continued, my voice steady and resolute. "I want to make it clear that actions have consequences. I want everyone to know who he really is. Man who thinks he can take what doesn't belong to him without a second thought. The DJ took a step back, his bravado crumbling as he realized the tide had turned against him. "You're making a mistake, man," he said, his voice shaky. "You don't want to do this." But I was done listening to him. I turned back to the crowd, my heart racing with adrenaline. I hope you all remember this moment. This is what happens when trust is broken. This is what happens when someone thinks they can come between a husband and wife. As I looked around at the faces of our friends, I could see the mixture of shock and concern. Some were nodding in agreement while others looked horrified. I could feel the weight of their judgment, but it didn't matter. I had taken a stand, and I was reclaiming my power. From this moment on, I want to make it clear that this DJ will not perform at any of our events again. He doesn't deserve that opportunity after what he's done tonight. I let the words hang in the air, the impact of my declaration sinking in. The crowd began to murmur, and I could see the realization dawning on them. This wasn't just about me. It was about holding people accountable for their actions. It was about making sure that my pain would not go unrecognized. As I stepped back, I caught Emily's eye. She looked devastated, tears streaming down her cheeks. I could see the shame etched on her face, and for a moment I felt a flicker of sympathy. But it was overshadowed by the anger and betrayal that still burned within me. "Emily, you need to understand the consequences of your actions," I said, my voice softer but still firm. "This isn't just about me, it's about us. You chose to betray my trust, and now you need to face that." The room was silent, the gravity of the situation settling over us like a heavy blanket. I could feel the tension in the air, the weight of betrayal hanging like a dark cloud. As I stepped back, I could see my friends rallying around me, offering support and solidarity. I felt a rush of empowerment, knowing that I had taken control of the narrative. I had exposed the truth, and now it was time for Emily to face the reality of what she had done. In that moment, as the music faded and the crowd began to disperse, I knew that this was just the beginning. The fallout from this night would echo in the days to come, and I was ready to face whatever came next. The aftermath of that night was a whirlwind of emotions, and the days that followed felt like a blur. After the public exposure of the DJ, I had expected a wave of relief, a sense of closure, but instead, I found myself drowning in uncertainty. The consequences of my actions had rippled through our social circle, and I could feel the tension in the air whenever I encountered our friends. Emily and I barely spoke after the party. The confrontation had laid bare the cracks in our marriage, and no amount of apologies could fill them. She tried to reach out to explain herself, but every time she opened her mouth, the words felt hollow. I could see the guilt etched on her face, but it was too late for words. The trust had been broken, and I couldn't shake the feeling that our relationship had irrevocably changed. I spent days replaying that night in my mind, the images of Emily dancing with the DJ haunting me. I had taken the necessary steps to expose him, to reclaim my power, but in doing so, I had also exposed the fragility of our marriage. I realized that revenge hadn't brought me the satisfaction I had hoped for. Instead, it had only deepened the chasm between us. One evening, as I sat alone in our living room, I sifted through the photos from the party. I had saved the images of Emily and the DJ, but I also stumbled upon pictures of happier moments, our friends laughing, the two of us dancing, the joy we had shared. It struck me like a bolt of lightning. I missed that joy. I missed the love that had once defined our relationship. I decided it was time to confront Emily again, but this time it would be different. I wanted to talk openly about what had happened, to lay all the cards on the table. I wanted to understand her side, to hear her truth, even if it was painful. That evening, I found her sitting on the couch. Her eyes red from crying. The sight broke my heart, but I steeled myself, knowing we needed to have this conversation. "Emily," I said softly, taking a seat across from her, "we need to talk." She nodded, wiping her eyes. "I know I've hurt you, and I can't take it back. I'm so sorry for what happened. I never meant for things to go that far." "Then why did they?" I pressed, my heart heavy. "What were you thinking? I thought we were happy." "I thought I was just having fun," she said, her voice trembling. "But I realize now how foolish that was. I was caught up in the moment and I didn't think about the consequences. I didn't think about you." "Did you ever stop to consider what it would do to our marriage?" I asked, my voice rising slightly despite my efforts to remain calm. "You were dancing with another man, Emily. It felt like a betrayal." I know," she cried, her hands shaking. "I was stupid. I didn't think it would hurt you this way. I didn't think it would mean anything, but it did. It meant everything, and I ruined it." I took a deep breath, trying to process her words. "I need to know if you still love me," I said, my voice breaking. "If you still want to fight for us." Her eyes widened, and I could see the desperation in her face. "Of course I do. I love you more than anything. I made a terrible mistake, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make it right, but I understand if you can't forgive me." The weight of her words hung in the air, and I felt a flicker of hope, but it was quickly overshadowed by the fear of being hurt again. "Trust isn't something that can be rebuilt overnight," I said, my voice steady. "It takes time, and I don't know if I'm ready for that." "I'm willing to wait," she replied, her voice earnest. "I'll do anything to prove to you that I'm committed to making this work. I don't want to lose you over a moment of weakness." I looked into her eyes, searching for the sincerity I desperately needed to see. "Then we need to take things slow," I said finally. "We need to rebuild from the ground up. It won't be easy." "I understand," she said, her voice softening. "I'm ready to do whatever it takes, even if it means starting from scratch." As we continued to talk, I realized that while the road ahead would be fraught with challenges, there was still a flicker of love between us. It wouldn't be easy to forgive, and I knew it would take time to heal, but for the first time since that night, I felt a glimmer of hope. In the following weeks, we began to navigate the complexities of our relationship. We sought counseling, and I found myself sharing my feelings more openly than I ever had before. Emily was willing to put in the work, to show me that she was committed to making amends. The journey was rocky, filled with moments of doubt and fear, but we also found joy in the small victories. We began to rediscover the intimacy that had been lost, finding comfort in each other's arms. Slowly but surely, we started to rebuild the trust that had been shattered. As time passed, I learned that love isn't just a feeling, it's an action. It's about showing up for each other, even when it's difficult. I realized that while the betrayal had changed us, it didn't have to define us. We were learning to navigate the complexities of forgiveness and healing, and I found solace in that journey. Looking back on that night, I understood that while the pain of betrayal would always linger, it had also opened the door to deeper conversations and a stronger foundation. I had exposed the truth, and in doing so, I had laid the groundwork for a new beginning. As we continued to grow together, I felt a sense of closure wash over me. The path ahead was uncertain, but for the first time in a long while, I felt hopeful. Our love story was far from over. It was evolving, and I was ready to embrace whatever came next.